School Board is now called to order at 6 p.m. on May 23rd, 2022. This regular business meeting of the Osseo Area School Board is being conducted in the boardroom of the Educational Service Center. The meeting can be monitored electronically by streaming online from the district website. An archived recording of tonight's meeting will also be available on the district website. Seated in front of you this evening from my left and your right are Director Sarah Mitchell, Director Thomas Brooks, Director Tanya Simons, myself, Jackie Mosqueda Jones, Director Heather Douglas, Director Tamara Grady. Also present in this boardroom are Superintendent Corey McIntyre and our Student School Board representatives, Mawata Kamara and Linnea Neldner and Timur Yusinov. Unable to make it today is Priya Moa from 279 online. Cabinet members Kelly Parpart, Brian Bass, and John Morstead are also present. Other cabinet members will come to the boardroom as needed for agenda items. Those of you who can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Grady, will you please lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any board members, any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as is?
So moved. I'll second.
I'm just going to go left to right like we read. First, Thomas Brooks, seconded by Heather Douglas. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. We have several, our next agenda item is recognitions, and we have several recognitions this evening. The 22-23 school year retirees, Osseo Senior High School Winter Guard, Osseo Senior High School HOSA, and our 2022-2023 school year Student School Board representatives. Superintendent McIntyre, will you start us out with the recognitions?
Thank you, Chair Mosqueda Jones and board members. This would be a great time for you to, our student board reps to go to the front of the dais to help us recognize our retirees this evening. And as they're moving down, I just have a couple comments to get us started. So with great pride and many thanks, it is my honor to recognize our ISD 279 Osseo Area Schools retirees for the 22-23 school year. So for the period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, 71 individuals across all classifications and employee groups throughout the district have retired or will be retiring. These 71 individuals have served a cumulative total of 1,661 years of service to the scholars and families of Osseo Area Schools. All of this school year's retirees weren't able to be with us this evening, but we do have a number of individuals who are here in the boardroom. We actually had a reception ahead of time here to recognize them as well. Appreciate them coming to celebrate with us. Just on one other note here, over the last several years, the average number of retirees in a school year has been about 130, with a cumulative total of over 1,500 years of service as an average. There's a quote that I've often read here, and I believe it applies again. There's no greater calling than to serve others. There's no greater contribution than to help others. There is no greater satisfaction than to have done it well. And I just want to say to our retirees with deep gratitude, we honor and celebrate your retirement. The contributions you have made to many generations of students is significant. Your unwavering dedication and years of service have shaped countless lives, igniting a passion for learning and fostering growth. With admiration, we recognize the immeasurable impact you've had on our institution and the communities we serve. Your legacy of wisdom, compassion, and commitment will continue to inspire generations to come. May this new chapter bring you joy, fulfillment, and knowledge that you've made a lasting difference. Thank you for your extraordinary contributions and enjoy your retirement. I'll now read off the names of our retirees, noting the position and building they're retiring from, along with their years of service. All right, so if you could come up from the audience as your name is called. Kate Emmons, Director of Student Services at the ESC, 12 years of service. The following retirees have between 21 and 30 years of service. Melinda Anderson, Special Education Clerical ESP at Rush Creek Elementary, 26 years. I didn't see her. Okay. All right, next is John Fritz, teacher Fayed and Dape at Zanewood Elementary, 28 years. Jill Simon, math teacher, Maple Grove Middle School, 30 years. And our next group of retirees are with 30 or more years of service. We'll start with Becky Hespin, ESP in Education Minnesota, OSSEO ESP's president, 32 years. Next is Joan Bowman, executive assistant to the superintendent here at the ESC, 33 years. Jamie Hogstead, teacher, second grade, Weaver Lake Elementary, 33 years. Pamela Kelly, elementary administrative assistant at Fair Oaks Elementary, 36 years. I know this next person's in the room. Kelly Wilson, teacher in Education Minnesota, OSSEO president, 38 years. And lastly, it's my honor to recognize Catherine Harrington, teacher, grade 3 at Basswood Elementary, 42 years. Right, so if you could join me one last time in thanking all of our retirees for their service to OSSEO Area School.
Before we move on to the next groups of scholars to be recognized, I just want to make sure that we all know that we would like to get a group photo at the end of the recognition, so don't run away. We're going to have a group photo before that. So board members, please remain here in front of the room for the photo as well. Family members are definitely welcome to take photos as well. Okay, we'll now recognize the OSSEO Senior High School's Winter Guard for their first place finish at state for Winter Guard. Sarah McGuire and Nancy Thierry, will you please come to the podium for introductions?
I'm jealous of whoever was here before me. Hello, my name is Sarah McGuire, and I, with Nancy Terry, coach the Osseo Winter Flag Line. For those of you unfamiliar, Flag Line is essentially a continuation of marching band, but inside, which is really great for Minnesota. Color Guard is the visual aspect of the marching band, and for Flag Line, the team performs a 3-minute, 30-second show where they highlight their flag technique, their musicality, and their performance. The team works together from roughly November to April and participate in 4 competitions, the last of which being championships. For the second year in a row, Osseo Flag Line has won their class at state, the Flag Line class being hosted by the North Star Circuit Championships. And what makes this win sweeter is that they were second place for the first 3 and didn't expect to win the 4th, which just made it better. Nancy and I are very proud to present this team to you for all of their hard work and dedication to this program. So let's get it moving. Our first student is Olivia Bechtold. Next is Claire Guidry. Annette Goose. Skylar Lehner. Delaney Maloney. Tegan Maloney. Lily Morris. Mariska Pichet. Clara Peterson. Giselle Rodriguez Torres. Tien Tran. Unable to be with us tonight is Sarah Bajeza Martinez, Alexis Garcia, Molly Sabin, and Sinai Williams.
Picture.
Mary, do you want to come up?
Congratulations once again. Okay. Eric Briz-Gornia and Dave Casella, will you please step up to the podium to introduce Osseo Senior High School's Health Occupation Students of America to be recognized for their numerous top 3 performances at the HOSA state competition. Sweet.
Good evening. My name is Eric Briz-Gornia.
I'm Dave Casella.
And we are 2 of the instructors at the EMS program at Osseo, also with the health science program at Osseo, as well as, if that's not enough, the 2 advisors for the Osseo chapter of HOSA Future Health Professionals. And so this chapter is made up of students actually from Osseo, Park Center, and Maple Grove. And HOSA overall empowers students and scholars to become leaders in the global health community through education, collaboration, and experience. We were able to attend the State Leadership Conference this past April, where we had significant success. Some of these events were individual, some of them were team competitions. It's my pleasure to be able to share with you the students who placed in the top of their events and have qualified for the 2023 HOSA International Leadership Conference, which will be in Dallas, Texas this summer.
So the first person I'd like to recognize is Elena Bolson. So Elena was the emergency medical technician state champion, CPR and first aid second place finisher, and extemporaneous writing and fourth place finisher there. Elena has earned her EMT certification last year in class, and next year she'll be attending the 3-2 Early Assurance Physician's Assistant Program at the University of Minnesota, Rochester. She's proud of her opportunities that District 279 provides for her students. And next, I'd like to recognize Samantha Longenecker. So Samantha also placed in the Emergency Medical Technician State Champion and extemporaneous writing. She was a 5th place finisher. And Sam earned her EMT certification last year as well. And next year she'll be attending the Mechanical Engineering Honors Program at the University of Minnesota, Duluth. She plans to pursue PA school after that, and she's proud of what District 279 has to offer and how the district has helped her grow. She's excited for what the future holds and for the EMS and health science programs.
Next, we have CPR first aid second place finisher Owen Timperley. So now we get to the portions of the scholars who we have multiple years left with them. Yes. So Owen is a junior, plans to attend paramedic school and pursue a career in flight medicine. He's proud that District 279 supports HOSA. Healthy lifestyle, second place finisher, public health second place finisher, Hassania Ahmed. Hassania plans to attend college after high school with the goal of entering the health field. She is proud to be a part of the District 279 family for making it a place for all student interests. Healthy lifestyle, third place finisher, public health second place finisher, Jada Bennett. Jada plans to attend college and medical school to become an obstetrician or a pediatrician. She is proud of the fun opportunities that exist with District 279. In closing, unfortunately, these individuals are not able to attend tonight. Public health second place finisher Luam Aman, public health second place finisher Sage Berry, and sports medicine state champion Mira Samadani. Please join us in once again congratulating these scholars for a job well done and wish them luck as they continue on the International Leadership Conference.
Pictures again. Come on up. Pictures. Okay, we have one final recognition this evening. It is with great pride and appreciation that we shine the spotlight on our amazing student school board representatives. This is their last meeting with us. Mawada, Linnea, and Teamer, and please pass on to Apriya. Thank you for your service on the Osseo Area School Board. It's been my honor to hear your perspectives. You have brought an incredible amount of value to the board. You should be proud of your accomplishments this year. We really enjoy your passion. And now I'm going to give each board member a chance to say thank you. Let's start with Sarah.
Yes, and I hope Priya gets to hear this message as well. I just wanted to thank each of you for your faithfulness to serve in this role. You always come prepared, and you've been very respectful and kind to everyone. And it's really made an impression on me how each one of you as individuals is so others-focused, that you care about the students that are coming in after you. I just love that about you guys, and I hope that the students who continue in your role will do the same. And so thank you for your service, and I look forward to hearing about your future success. So will you please come back and share that with us in the future? Okay, thank you.
I also just want to say thank you for your service to the board. I think most importantly, you brought some laughter and some energy to the board. I think that from the very beginning, you settled in really quickly, and we're very confident in your role as leaders. So I appreciate all of the work that you put into this. I've even seen some leadership qualities in many of you that I admire as well. So I hope that you continue to take on these leadership opportunities in the future, and can't wait to see what you all do.
Thank you so much for your service to the board. It's been really fun to see each of you grow into your roles and grow in confidence and grow in the insight that you add to the board packet and to the questions that we ask you, which are often unexpected, right? So I appreciate that, and it's just been such a joy to have you with us, and I wish you all the best in your future.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to say, when I was first appointed to the board, one of my very first initiatives that I wanted to achieve was adding student board reps. And we have them now, and I am so thankful that it's been each of you. The contributions that you've made to the discussions that we've have been extraordinary. And I really appreciate having your input and participation as we make decisions. You have a unique position in your schools to be able to hear what your scholars and peers' perspectives are, and to relay that back to us in a truly authentic way. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you so much for being here, spending your time doing your homework, being here. Sometimes board meetings are awkward, and sometimes they're called board meetings because sometimes they are boring. But what I'm most proud of is that this is something that really aligns with our mission statement, is to unleash the brilliance of each and every one of our scholars, and that comes in many different forms, whether it's doing dance or part of the Osseo Health Services folks, or speaking here at the board. Unleashing brilliance comes in many different forms, and I'm so proud that our district was able to offer you that opportunity to find something that you're good at and to release your own brilliance. So thank you very much for your service, and I hope to see you continue in that role. Thank you.
Well, I got to spend some time with you earlier tonight. I just want to acknowledge too the many other things in your life. So you've done this, came right from work, right? Yep, came right from a track meet, right? So that's the life of a high school student. And thank you for making this a priority. Your attendance has been outstanding, and I echo what others have said, the confidence that you've shown over the months and your willingness to share your voice. That takes courage. And for you to come and represent the students of your school takes courage as well. So you've made a lasting impact on the scholars of this district, and we wanted to say thank you for that. So if everyone could join us in recognizing our student board reps. Thank you. Would any of you like to make any comments before you? Yeah, no, we have your reports coming up. Maybe you can share your comments there. How's that sound? Okay, fair.
Well, following that is actually the school board student representative reports. So this is going to be our last chance to see the brilliance of these scholars at our board meetings as student board representatives. I hope we see you in other capacity. Timur, would you please share your report?
Yeah, of course. Hello everyone, my name is Timur Yusunov and I am the representative of Maple Grove Senior High. So we are finally coming to the end of the school year and everyone is kind of excited, but it also comes with a bittersweet tone, of course, especially for the seniors that will not be coming back for the next year. And so recently all the seniors have gotten all their clothes and everything that's required for the graduation ceremony. So our school is trying to really get the seniors to fill out forms and get them on track towards the graduation ceremony that's coming up. And while all that's kind of a hassle, we're also excited just for the end of the school to come with graduation parties being planned, and it's truly just still a busy time in the year, even though we have like 2 weeks left. And prom was already quite a while ago, and it was really great to be back at the Landmark Center for the Maple Grove kids. It was really beautiful, and I'm sure the class of 2023 really appreciated that we could have a year like this. For the spring sports and activities, many different students are closing and finishing up on their clubs, but for some, success keeps on going. The girls lacrosse team is celebrating an amazing season so far, where they are completely undefeated as of now, going on for around 12 games. The boys tennis team also had a good season as they beat Champlain Park in quarterfinals and lost to Oregon to semifinals. But it was a great season and is something that should be completely proud of. In the arts, our school's theater program had a phenomenal performance of our center stage, a show based on the theme of Lucky Stars. It was incredibly successful, and everyone I heard from said it was amazing, and it's going to be really sad to see all the very talented and vocally incredible students and seniors that are going to be leading this year. But it's great to see all the freshmen and the new talent coming into the school as well. And congrats to all the performers. And our art students also got to present the artwork they've been working on hard all year, and all the awards they earned and achieved got to be put on display as well within our halls. The artwork was truly amazing, and it really shows that our school's art department is also truly phenomenal as our sports. Speaking of awards, congratulations to everyone who was represented in our school's award ceremony, which was hosted last week, especially to our Crimson Way Award winner, Mia Fagerly, who represented our school's standard of excellence, which is considered one of the highest awards you can achieve in our school. This is also generally the last week for our musical performances, so all of our bands, orchestras, and choirs are preparing to perform one final performance this week, and it's also just kind of a great way to end the year, but once again, a sad way to say goodbye to all the seniors. We have an upcoming Pet Fest, and this week is Spirit Week. And it's a really fun Spirit Week as well. I'm really excited to dress up as my math teacher on Thursday. It's a really fun way to celebrate the end of the year. And once again, we're preparing for commencement ceremony. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mawada, would you please share your report?
Yes, I will. Hello, everyone. My name is Mawata Kamara from Park Center Senior High. And my French teacher wanted to see me again today, so she's right there in the corner. But anyway, as we've been counting down the last days of being my junior year at Park Center, The school has been surrounded with congratulating seniors on their future plans, and our CRC has been busy printing out I'm in shirts for all the seniors that are participating in pursuing higher education or going on to post-secondary educational options as well. About a week or two ago, we hosted our award night in our auditorium, which was filled to capacity because so many people were there, and we had a large number of freshmen who made the A honor roll list for both semesters, and it was really nice seeing that the future generations really take a lot of pride in their education. And then after that, I had the opportunity to get inducted into the National Honor Society with 25 of my fellow juniors, as we are going to be the leaders of the school next year, which I'm already a leader, but I'm getting the official title now. But and also, I thought I had caught my principal not wearing green, but she was just wearing a dark shade of green, and she really prides herself in wearing green every day. So I kind of copied her today. But also, last weekend was our prom night. I cheated on my school and went to Osio's, but overall, the juniors did an awesome job planning everything, and it was really nice to watch as everyone posted their model pictures on Instagram, because our school likes to say everyone cleans up nice, and everyone did for prom. But lastly, it has been an honor being a school board representative. Honestly, at first, I had so many butterflies, but honestly, it has been so much fun being here with you guys every Tuesday. I kind of look forward to it, actually. I always have it highlighted in my calendar, but honestly, thank you guys for welcoming us in with open arms and helping us fulfill our true characters with public speaking, and thank you. You guys won't be thanked enough, but thank you. Oh, I graduate next year, so come to my graduation party. Okay, there you go. I'm done.
Spoiler, 2 of us will be there for sure.
I'll find you.
Linnea, will you please share your report?
Alrighty, so my name is Linnea Neldner. I'm the Osseo Senior High student representative. And like Mwada said, we had our prom, and our winners for the royalty were Danielle, and Luella. And I did see Mwada at prom, and we got pictures, so that was very nice. That was very fun, and unfortunately, an event did happen on Friday night before the prom. A lot of people weren't aware of this because the parents were emailed and they didn't want to spoil the prom, but we did have a shooting that happened in Brooklyn Center, and one of our sophomores is not here anymore, so that we got some resources at our school that came in, and we're still dealing with other people. I myself did not know our student JoCon, but other people did, and it will have an impact along with other things that have happened this year. So after that, we've had other things like the Oasis celebration that happened that celebrates our Asian descent students that come to our school. So there's lots of vendors and dancing, and they brought their cultural outfits, which were really cool to see. There is one girl who had a bunch of bells on hers, and I thought Santa was visiting us. So that was pretty cool. We have senior wrap-ups, so transcripts and any college admissions and more grad party stuff. I'm also having mine. You should come to it. That's happening as well in June and July and May. Seniors are also doing these little flag things that say I'm in, and they'll write what college they're in, and if you trade it in, you get a free t-shirt. So I still need to do that. We had our award ceremony with Girls and Boys State, any departments, and other things that they want to be recognized for. So if you are on the academic honor roll, that was recognized as well. We had field trips to the Maya Museum and the Walker Museum, which was very fun, as well as I believe it was the Como Zoo, but it really depended on what class was going. And we also had the Addams Family, which was recognized by the news because one of the main characters, Morticia, was played by our student Amy, who, if you did not know, has the disability of being blind. So that was very fun because she's actually quite incredible. She can navigate herself on the stage, so that was very cool. We have our graduation commencement auditions, which was on Tuesday and Thursday. And that is about it. Thank you.
The student representatives review the board meeting packet in advance and are prepared to answer any questions for board members on issues to seek student input related to agenda items for this evening's meeting. Board members, do you have an agenda item for which you'd like student input?
I do. So in our board packet tonight is the District Planning Advisory Council final report, and it lists several different recommendations for ideas that we should implement in our district. Were there any particular recommendations that stood out to you that you think were something that we should deeply consider?
I have no comment on that.
Not really.
Sorry, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Focus
for
on
your-
graduation, apparently.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's important. Yeah,
That's okay.
for sure. All right, thank you so much. The next agenda item is audience opportunity to address the school board. I'll review a few of the guidelines for those who will speak to the board. I have 10 cards here, and again, I'm going to allow all 10 to speak, even though it goes over our 20-minute time period, just because that's a precedent I've already set. We are going in order of students, parents, guardians, district employees, and district residents, has been our protocol for several years at least. During the opportunity to address the school board, I'll call on each speaker who has submitted a speaker card. We ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. Sherry will be keeping time. The board does not take action or discuss matters during this portion of the meeting. Speakers may be referred to the superintendent or a staff member for follow-up if necessary. The complete guidelines for public participation are provided in the meeting materials table on the school board section of the district website. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name, your topic, and also state whether or you are or not a district resident. Also, a reminder that you're addressing the board and not the people in the audience, and that we're not addressing any one specific person. So the first person I have here is Tina Collins.
Hello, board members. Thank you for again allowing me the chance to talk. I really appreciate this, and I know you guys are really invested in our youth, or you wouldn't be here. All right. One of the things that, as you know, we have negotiations going on right now, and one of the things that's dear to my heart, because I am a lunch and recess ESP, our staffing ratios to me are too low. At the school I'm at, we do have the perimeters that are bordered by parkland and trails and woods and housing developments and highways. So we have about 140 kids on each grade level, 2nd grade through 4th grade. And we have 2 adults that are out there. We have about a 2-acre area, and it goes in a big L. We also have gaga pits, baseball field, football fields, or lacrosse fields, whatever. We have 2 big playground areas, and a lot of the accidents that happen. This was an 8-minute session today during my lunch, 20 minutes. I looked this up because I was worried about it. So I wanted to have some facts. It says, according to the NICHD, which is the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, there was a survey that bullying tends to happen most often in and around schools, specifically in those areas where there's little or no adult supervision, i.e. playgrounds, hallways, cafeterias, classrooms before the lessons begin and before the teacher is present. ESPs play an important role in bullying prevention, given that ESPs have historically comprised approximately 33% to 40% of the total education workforce, and this is according to the NEA.org. And we play an important but often overlooked role in creating safe and supportive learning environments for youth. Ideally, it would be a 33 to 40% of the total education workforce. However, we're so short-staffed, there's no way that can even happen. Some studies indicate that bullying is most prevalent during the elementary school years, while others show an increase and peak during early adolescence. Other related studies also indicate that there are approximately twice as many victims of bullying in the primary grades than the secondary grades. According to the CDC, injuries at school are more likely to occur on playgrounds, particularly on climbing equipment, on athletic fields and in gymnasiums. The most frequent causes of school-associated injuries resulting in hospitalization are falls and sports activities. Assaults account for 10% of school-associated injuries resulting in hospitalization. Most physical assaults occur in unstructured or obscure areas such as playgrounds or playfields. Lunch and recess ESPs have a vital role in keeping our students safe during unstructured activities. However, we are stretched too thin. I already said how many we have. If an altercation occurs, one of these ESPs is pulled away from the majority of students to focus on solving whatever problem, which leaves one adult for the other 139. That's not okay. We can't keep our kids safe if we are stretched that thin. I mean, we want to keep our kids safe. That's what we're here for.
Thank you, Tina. Michelle Aboard. We promise not to bite.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I am the mom of 4 students, 3 of them who have graduated from OSSEO. One of my big concerns for our students is the lack of consequences for behavior in the area of attendance and skipping school. This is near and dear to my heart, as I have a student who isn't going to school and there's no consequences. In conversation with the counselors and the admins, they say their hands are tied. My understanding is that the district chose to have no consequences. You can walk out of school, you just can't come back in. Guess what? Kids don't want to come back in if they've left. So why are we doing this to our students? We're failing our students even more in these last few years. My older students had consequences and boundaries. Our students at the high school level do not, and we are failing them. Why do I as a parent have to come to a school board meeting to say, please help me. Please help my student go to school. We're doing all we can at home. My counselor says I can't do anything else. The admin says I'm trying, but I can't do anything. I have nothing else I can do. Help me, please. My experience as a student was if you skipped school, you had detention. After school, your parents had to sign a note. I don't find out my student has skipped school until 5 o'clock when I get a call and a text and an email. And I have to go on to parent view and find it because I couldn't see it until 5 when it shows up. Did kids still skip when I was in school? Of course they did, but they got caught a lot more and they didn't do it as much. When I stopped into the high school on Monday, I saw kids coming in at every hour of the day. And they were also leaving. Not just one child, not just 2, 10, 15, 20 kids coming in late at 8:30, at 9:30, at 10. What the heck is going on with our schools? Please help. What we're doing to our children is not kind, it's not fair, and it's not giving them structure for the future as adults. What are they gonna do? Show up at work when they want to? I don't think this is a good choice for our children. I think our children need those boundaries to be successful. Please bring accountability back into our schools where they belong. Help us as parents. We can only do so much. Please help our teachers. They can only do so much, and they try so hard to keep our students in school. Please work with us to help our kids graduate and be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Ann Harms.
My name is Anna Harms, and I'm a parent in the district. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I'm coming here today because I'm concerned about how you are choosing to demonstrate your leadership in regard to using resolutions as a way to create district policy. In particular, I was deeply troubled by the way the June 2022 resolution was handled, and that it was ratified by an outside group before all members of the school board knew about it or were given a copy. It was then added to the agenda on the Friday afternoon before the Tuesday school board meeting, therefore giving the board and community stakeholders very little time to respond to this comprehensive policy change. And it was introduced during the summer months when many community members are not aware of school board proceedings. This chain of events should be concerning whether you agree with the resolution or not, because if this is the way the school board is choosing to conduct itself, policy that you don't approve of could be passed just as easily. This is not how decisions should be made by the board. Resolutions should not be used to create policy because it bypasses the proper channels of policy making, and we should not be making decisions as a district in a secretive manner. Not only is that unethical, it also breeds a lack of transparency and introduces doubt that the board is actually acting on behalf of the entire school community. Instead, you could have gone directly to your colleagues and discussed with them any policy changes you felt were needed. And as a team, you would have had the opportunity to hash out if these changes are indeed needed, what the implications of these changes are, and how to communicate them to broader district stakeholders. Questions such as, if we introduce new curriculum, what would it be? What grade levels are included? What current curriculum would be removed to allow for instruction time? How parents will be informed in advance? All of these questions deserve well-defined consensus answers from the entire board before they are voted on. These are the kinds of things that should have been discussed, and these are only a few questions that pertain to one topic of the resolution. Discussing policy changes in this manner would have allowed everyone in the community to understand the direction the school board was going. The more important an issue is, the more important that it is done through the proper channels and not through hastily introduced resolutions. It is essential that there are well-defined policies and procedures in place to guide how school board decisions are enacted. You need to proceed policy making with thorough dialogue. You need to ask questions. You need to be involving all stakeholders. You need to stop ignoring parents who come to you with questions and instead be prepared to meet them with clear answers. It is possible to collectively work together to find the best solutions that will benefit all of our students, but it requires us to work together in a nonpartisan way. Let's demonstrate that the work is worth it, that it is achievable. In light of all these things, I respectfully ask you to rescind the policy-making resolutions you have made in the last 2 years, and instead create policies and procedures as a board with the collaborative help of staff, students, and educators, not behind closed doors with the help of interest groups. Collaborate with your colleagues so you can come together to find the best solutions for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Straight.
Hi, Michelle Straight. I'm a parent in the school district. A question. Does disagreeing that it is not the school district's role to discuss and promote LGBTQ+ topics with our children considered hateful? It shouldn't be. I think it is reasonable that we are able to disagree in a constructive manner about these policies and resolutions, as we are entrusting our children to you while they are in school. We are not co-parenting with you. Our schools don't teach that children should be vegans. They don't teach that a specific religion is correct or that hunting is wrong. Why? Because these are based upon values instilled at home, and they are not appropriate for schools to take a stance on. I do not believe it is the school district's role to affirm a child's gender dysphoria or promote queer theory. I believe that telling youth that they can be whatever sex they choose, or that they may have been born in the wrong body and can change sexes, are untrue ideologies that can result in many going through irreversible medical interventions, such as puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgery. I am aware that topics involving gender identity can be complex and sensitive to navigate. I think it is regressive to reinforce harmful stereotypes, for instance, by suggesting that children might be a different gender based upon their personality, their interests, or the clothes they prefer to wear. I've heard people say that parents should just pull their students from public schools if they disagree on these topics. but that isn't a realistic option for most people due to the high cost of private education. If it was financially feasible, more people would in fact be leaving our schools. I don't plan to leave. I plan to work towards creating an environment that is inclusive to all of our students. The focus of Osseo District schools should be on shared humanity, which creates respect and equity for all people and reinforces that no student should be bullied and excluded based upon their race, their culture, their sexual orientation, gender, or other differences. The school district leadership has said that they value belonging, inclusion, and intrinsic value. This value seems to only apply to chosen groups, as we are a multicultural community, and as such, we should not be elevating one community over another. The school board has chosen to display the LGBTQ+ pride flags alongside 11 Minnesota Tribal Nation flags starting June 1st in all school buildings. I would ask, why are we honoring the pride flag, and why would it get honored when other groups are not? I plan to keep my children home from school that day in protest, and I would encourage others to do the same.
30 seconds remaining.
I ask that the school board not proceed further in implementing this resolution that was passed last summer, and that you reconsider the gender identity policy. I ask the school board for open communication with parents and that we not be excluded. If the school board in fact wants to be transparent as they claim to be, they should notify parents directly of both the resolution and the policy, so that parents have the knowledge needed to parent effectively. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jean Fox.
Good evening. My name is Jean Fox, and I'm a 34-year resident here in Maple Grove and also an 18-year employee of the Osseo School District. NEA headlines read, "Living wage still eludes school support professionals. With adjustments for inflation, the salary of an ESP continues to decline." I hate statistics. I stink at math. But that's just what we are. We have ESPs that have stepped up to the plate every time it's been needed, and most of us are still working 2, 3, even 4 jobs to make ends meet. That is 1 in 5 ESPs needing that additional income. Does that make any sense? How many of you are working many jobs to pay your bills? Approximately 2.2 million ESPs working in K-12 public buildings earn less than $25,000 annually. A report recently released by NEA shows a dire picture of the money issues plaguing your support staff nationwide. What's driving these shortages in our schools? Workloads, lack of support, but better pay is the main cause. Without improvements, ESPs along with teachers will leave the profession. Then what? Ocean View, California negotiated a 10% raise for their ESPs. Alamosa, Colorado increased their rate of pay by 8% for the first time in 20 years. Clark County in Nevada negotiated a $6,500 retention bonus for their ESPs. Our very own Minneapolis School District is giving their ESPs $3,000 if they remained for the whole school year. Our public schools are being undermined by some of the politicians that have been elected by the people, and they want to see us fail. They don't want public schools to succeed. You were all elected by the people. What are you going to do to help promote retention and give ESP a chance to support their families in a way that they will not need to always be working? We show up each and every day to be the best for your students and all families in our district. We deserve to be treated with the respect and dignity the same way we bestow upon your children. See, they aren't scholars to us. They're our kids. We love each and every one of them, and we're here to give them the best we can give them in the time while they're with us. We have gone over 300 days without an updated contract, but yet we still
30
show
seconds
up.
remaining.
We are tired of having to beg for our self-worth. Until you walk in our shoes with these kids, you have no idea what each and every day looks like or ends up being. I have heard over the years the invites to come and join us in our buildings. We've yet to see it happen. Come join us. Come see what we do on a daily basis. Don't come and just chat with our admin either, but really come and walk in our shoes. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lupe Hoyt. Lupe.
Last time I spoke, I was nervous, and I went to my work, and I handed a note to all the teachers that I know. And all of them wrote letters and ESPs, and I want to pass them along to you so you can read what they say. But I'm going to read a letter that one of the teachers wrote. To whom it may concern, I am a 4th grade teacher at Rice Lake Elementary, and I have been an employee of Osseo Area School District for 23 years. I was recently asked to write a few things that I appreciate about the ESPs at our building. The ESPs in the building are compassionate, and they are so caring and kind to our students. They're always there for our kids, whether it is challenging reader or the challenging behavior. The hearts of our ESPs are enormous. Our ESPs are also dependable and reliable to get the job done. Whether they are standing on the street corner with our patrols in minus 30 degrees temperatures, helping our DCD skilled students in the bathroom, working with EL students who are new to the country, helping a student who is suffering from potential eating disorder at lunch, or just being a friend to a lonely child at recess. Our ESPs are there for our students and staff every day with love and compassion. Please support our ESPs so that they can continue to support their own families. I'm afraid that if, as a district, we don't support our amazing ESPs, we're in danger of losing many amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Andy Sherrick.
Good evening. My name is Andy. I've been a contracted nurse at Osseo Senior High for the past 5 weeks. I have 25 years of experience in healthcare and emergency services. I have worked as a paramedic, 911 dispatcher, pediatric and adult ER nurse at level 1 trauma centers, a jail nurse, phone triage nurse, and as security at a state mental health hospital. I have been an EMS and critical care educator for over 20 years. I use all of my training and experience on a daily basis working in the health office at Osseo Senior High. I enjoy the position. I find great rewards from helping students to be as healthy as they can so they can learn as much as possible in the few short years that they're with us. I have accepted an agency contract for the school year next year for the same position. This is wonderful, but it's not. The phenomenal nurses I work with, the ESPs and other support staff, so many folks who are dedicated to the students in this district, have been working without a union contract for 328 days. I am a contracted agency nurse. This means the district saw a need and contacted an agency to help fill it. The cost for an agency nurse is greater than that of a district nurse, and I'm compensated greater than district employees. I make $17.25 more per hour than the nurses who work for the district. The district should pay their employees appropriately so positions will be filled. I'm a single earner household. I cannot afford to do this job that I really enjoy if I was a district nurse, which is why I accepted an agency position. If I were a district employee, I would not be able to afford my small home, food, transportation, healthcare, and bills. The people who care for students and support students need to be supported. They should be appropriately compensated so they don't need second or third or fourth jobs just to make ends meet. I'm proud to be part of an amazing 3-nurse team at Osseo Senior High, but all of the district staff need to be appropriately compensated for their daily labor of love for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Laura LaBerge. Please correct me if I have names wrong.
Hello, my name is Laura LaBarge. I have lived in Maple Grove since the spring of 1994. My children have attended schools here, and I have worked for the Osseo School District for 13 years as an ESP. In addition to being a mother, I have previously held positions at Honeywell, the Boys and Girls Club of America, and various other places. My work at Osseo area schools has been my favorite. It is challenging, fulfilling, it's never boring. Through the years, I have watched from afar as the school board struggles to work out budgets and make decisions for staff that impact their monetary compensation. I have been concerned in the past, but it is this year of contract negotiations that concerns me the most. The cost of living is rising, but my paycheck is not keeping up. For the first time, I had to cancel all but the minimal donation to my 457 deferred saving in order to have enough in my paycheck to pay the bills. This in turn affects my future retirement. It is one of my hopes and dreams to retire, as I'm sure it is yours. I would like to eventually retire, and I would like it to be from this district. I have to tell you that when I hear you are making minimal effort to take seriously our request for increase in pay, I feel devalued. If it has become this financially difficult for me, an employee who has the privilege of being in a two-income household with my husband who has a solo legal practice, I cannot imagine how those less fortunate than I am are surviving. It also makes sense to me that providing a more robust financial package to your employees will help you retain staff and fill the numerous job openings that have remained in our district all year, causing understaffing in many buildings. Your reticence to increase compensation also makes me wonder if you completely understand how both financial and appropriate staff numbers are. Staff who are stressed about income are not able to perform at the top of their game, let alone pick up the slack emotionally and task-wise because of understaffing. How can we come to work daily and make sure we are inspiring and preparing each and every scholar with the confidence and courage and competence to achieve their dreams and contribute to community and engage in a lifetime of learning when we are worried about making the mortgage payment and emotionally drained from unspoken pressure to cover more than we should at work? While the recent law change to allow for collecting unemployment during the summer is possibly helpful, it does not replace the much needed and deserved bi-monthly vote of confidence and value felt in our paychecks. It seems logical to me that if you want to do the best for our district students, you will start by prioritizing fully staffed buildings and ensuring appropriately compensated staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Becky?
This is right at my level. Thank you, school board, for letting me speak to you one more time at least. For 32 years, I've had the privilege of working as an educational support professional in Osseo schools. I worked with some of the best teachers, administrators, and yes, that means you too, Kelly, because you are the best, and ESPs. The work that we have done with students has been amazing, knowing that adequate progress for some looks very different than that of others. I chose this role as a profession, not in a quote-unquote lesser than role, but as a member of the educational team, each with different roles. As union president, I've been an advocate for ESPs, and I can tell you that ESPs in this district deserve respect for their profession. They deserve to be heard. They deserve recognition for the dignity of their work. They deserve to have a wage that is not poverty level. They deserve to come to work and not worry about being hurt. I know that I've said it before, but this district is in dire straits as far as recruitment and retention. To know that you will have to do more than one job just to be able to work with the students that you care about is appalling. The average wage for ESPs is $25,000 and some change. That's poverty level and would qualify most for state aid. Every year we fall farther and farther behind in adequate wages. People can't afford to work here, and it shows with the district's average openings this year of 70. And using your own data, the attrition rate is now at 61%. 61%, and 48% of those are probationary and they did not complete their first year. Whatever the plan for recruitment there was has obviously not been successful. I don't know what other business can go with an attrition rate of 61% and still be on its feet. Lack of staff has a direct correlation to what's going on in classrooms throughout the district. Academic interventions can't be done because there's no staff. IEP goals are not being met because of lack of staffing. Playgrounds are particularly an area that are not safe, with 2 grade levels at a time on the playground, as well as those that need special supervision because of disability challenges, and only 2 adults to supervise on a good day when all staff are there. Safety is an issue in every school, from preschool to high school. Because of lack of staffing, these issues are not isolated to just one building. Work should not hurt. Workplace violence also includes threats and verbal abuse. To be called the B word every day is just as much abuse as getting physically assaulted, according to the OSHA Workplace Violence and Workers' Rights. Workplace violence is any act or threat of physical violence, harassment, intimidation, or other threatening, disruptive behavior that occurs at the work site. It ranges from threats and verbal abuse to physical assaults. While we all appreciate fiscal responsibility and all know that some decisions have to be made at the 70,000-foot level, those decisions have very real impact on what's happening in schools. We all understand accountability to the taxpayer, but just the amount of money this district saves from year to year in the reserve fund that taxpayers are assuming going to educate the students in their communities is a testament that we should be doing better for our employees that actually work with students. How much does it take to onboard a new employee? Multiply that by the 189 people that you hired this year. How fiscally responsible is that? ESPs deserve the dignity of a wage that is not poverty level. And while we all know that there are some incidents that can't be helped, work should not hurt. Osseo should become the premier place to work again, not a place to flee from. Thank you.
I have one last speaker card, LaDon Severin.
Good evening. I'm LaDon Severin. My topic tonight is Policy 508 and the LGBTQ History and Culture Resolution passed last summer. I'm going to start with a quote from a book I've been reading. It's a powerful quote about ideas in general. Ideas are like seeds. From tiny seeds dropped in fertile ground grow the mighty oaks that anchor the land, altering the course of the rivers and the wind. And from ideas planted in the fertile soil of the human mind grow the thoughts and convictions of mankind, altering the course of history. So Policy 508 and last summer's resolution are chock full of ideas birthed from a particular controversial worldview, ideas that appear to be from outside forces seeking to act upon school systems as a whole to shape the youth into their own image. Ideas that have very little to do with academics, but have everything to do with shaping students socially. Unless you think I'm exaggerating, here's a recent example. We can't figure out who's been distributing these to elementary teachers in our district, but I'm just gonna read one page. When a baby is born, a grown-up says, "It's a boy," or "It's a girl." If a brand new baby could talk, sometimes that baby might say, "No, I'm not." When a baby grows up to be transgender, it means that the grown-up who said they were a boy or a girl made a mistake. Do you have ears to hear? Do we have ears to hear how this page alone assaults the sacred God-given identity of young males and young females? First graders are busy enough trying to master phonics and try to learn how to read. Why would we allow authority figures to plant seeds of doubt in their existence simply as a boy or a girl, that it might be a mistake? And we wonder why there's mental health crisis. Wise teachers, even if they were given this, would never read this to their classroom. This book, with its beautiful watercolor illustrations, contains doctrines of demons. Doctrines meaning a system of belief, and lies being the native language of demons. So doctrines of demons are belief systems based on lies. In later times, some will give heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. There's a man-made identity crisis sweeping across young people, especially regarding their sexuality. This is the 2022 Gallup poll of Americans who self-identify as LGBTQ. And it's broken down by generation, and I don't have time to go through it tonight.
30 seconds
but it's
remaining.
stunning to see the contrast through the different generations. This is not organic, biological phenomena sweeping across humanity. This is not nature, it's nurture. And my takeaway is to stop being complicit in this man-made identity crisis through your policies and resolutions. You're not called to swim along with the latest current of political activism and pop culture. Set yourself free from the burden of doing that and get back to your original mission
Time.
as a taxpayer-funded institution created to educate children.
Our next agenda item is the superintendent's report. Superintendent McIntyre.
Thank you, Chair Mosqueda Jones and board members. I know we have some kind of transitioning happening. We're going to jump right into our superintendent's report. And as you heard from our scholars earlier tonight, there's a lot happening. It's a very busy time of year. I love what one of our scholars said. There's something every night at the buildings, and that's kind of the season we're in, and it's a very exciting time. So we're going to do our best to highlight some of the extra special things that are happening in recognizing our students, staff, and building efforts. So with us tonight to do that, I have Kelly Parpart, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Schools, Brian Bass, Assistant Superintendent for Equity and Achievement, and John Morstead, Executive Director of Finance and Operations. So thank you very much for getting us started.
All right, thank you, Superintendent McIntyre. Is this on?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right. In the area of achieving dreams, the 2023 District 279 Foundation's Investment in Youth Celebration took place on May 7th. The event recognized the many achievements and success stories of the scholars, staff, and volunteers in Osseo area schools. Thomas Chris Nagel, a senior at Osseo Senior High School, was selected to be a part of the 2023 American Museum of Ceramic Art Annual High School Exhibition. The exhibition features works by 109 students from 13 states plus Washington, D.C., and represents a vibrant sample of the next generation of ceramic talent in the United States. Scholars at Maple Grove Senior High School were hard at work to prepare for their performances of Center Stage, Act 13, Lucky Stars. Lucky Stars showcased the talents of all of the scholars in the show as they performed various singing and dancing routines in groups ranging from soloists to the entire cast on stage. The scholars made numerous costume changes and performed elaborate choreography that utilized the entire auditorium, making the audience feel engaged in the show. Wallen Education Partners announced their list of 2023 Wallen Scholars on May 10th, and the list included 16 Osseo area school scholars from Park Center Senior High School and Osseo Senior High School. Congratulations to these scholars. 3 Osseo area schools scholars were recently named national medalists in the 2023 Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. These scholars' artwork were chosen out of thousands of submissions for exemplifying the award's core values: originality, technical skill, and the emergence of a personal voice or vision. In the area of contributing to community, scholars and families at Elm Creek Elementary School recently donated and delivered 75 stuffed animals to Children's Hospital in memory of Chloe Tieglin, an Elm Creek alumni who passed away in 2021. The Chloe Bears were bagged by 4th and 5th grade members of the Student Council. It's prom season, and Park Senior High School recently hosted a successful Say Yes to the Dress event, which gave away over 100 dresses, multiple suits, and accessories to help make this year's event more accessible for all students. 6 scholars from 4 Osseo area schools, elementary schools, traveled to Arizona in late April to deliver school supplies to a school in Sasabe, Sonora, Mexico. The schools raised over $19,000 for the organization Students Connecting Through International Service over the winter to fund the supplies.
In the area of lifelong learning, for more than 26 years, Osseo Area Schools has continued to put on one of the largest education-based powwows in the state. During a day of singing, dancing, and storytelling, the powwow brought together more than 1,000 people for a celebration of culture and history. Scholars from the Osseo Area Learning Center that participate in the Minnesota Association of Alternative Programs, also known as MAP, attended a field trip to the Minnesota State Capitol in St. Paul for Legislative Day. Brooklyn Middle STEAM School hosted an evening filled with games, musical performances, and traditional ethnic food and clothing on April 20th during its multicultural fair. Park Brook Elementary School continued its school-wide mile run tradition on a beautiful afternoon on May 5th. Families, staff, and students cheered the runners on as they wound their way around the school's adjoining park. I'm just waiting for there we go. Scholars at Osseo Senior High School recently had the opportunity to attend a show by the dance group Shape Shift, presented by the Department of Educational Equity and Real Talk. The dancers performed their show Gray Skies Blue, which is a story about emotional themes of social injustice, addiction, and betrayal told through dance and music. 5th graders at Cedar Island Elementary School participated in a kindness retreat led by staff members from Youth Frontiers and high school volunteers. The goal of the retreat was to provide a day of kindness for everyone who participated, including scholars and staff. On the last day of Ramadan, kindergartners at Oakview Elementary School learned about Somali traditions and culture during a visit from Fartoon Noor, an author and parent of a kindergartner at Oakview. Lance Fredrickson, a kindergarten teacher at Oakview, said, "The opportunity to learn from our families about their stories is impactful for all students." The Osseo Asian Student Involvement Society, also known as OASIS, at Osseo Senior High School hosted a May Heritage event on May 12th as a celebration of Asian American Pacific Islander Month. The event included food, vendors, a fashion show, and many student singing and dancing acts, often featuring songs from various Asian cultures and traditional dress. And before I sign off to John, I just want to say a shout out to Becky. Becky, it's been an honor to serve with you all these years. I cannot thank you enough for all you've done for our staff and students. And once a pirate, Becky, always a pirate.
Maple Grove Middle School sixth graders got a fresh perspective on the Vietnam War on May 5th when Dr. Ha Tong, an author, researcher, and former member of the South Vietnamese Army, came to explain what happened in Vietnam after the United States and other allies left. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander, or AAPI, American Heritage Month. And Osseo Area Schools seeks to honor and celebrate the unique contributions the AAPI community brings to schools across our district. Osseo Area Schools currently boasts 3,327 AAPI students of various ethnic backgrounds. Tasha Fay, an Osseo Senior High School graduate and multi-sport athlete who plans to participate in the 2026 Special Olympics USA Games, helped to design the logo for the Games. The logo was recently unveiled at the Mall of America. Fair Oaks Elementary School celebrated Hmong American Day on May 12th with a presentation by one of the school's English language teachers, Holy Vang, along with student presenters and performers. When it comes to school nursing, Osseo Area Schools nurses say the wide scope of their duties require them to go the extra mile to give their school scholars the care that they deserve. On National School Nurse Day, we thank all district nurses and honor their commitment to providing the critical support needed to serve each scholar. Thanks to the nurses who serve in all of our buildings. Throughout the district, the dedicated workers in nutrition services serve scholars each day, helping to keep them fed with healthy and delicious meals and make their schools a better place. School Lunch Hero Day was May 5th and served as a time to recognize the contributions of nutrition services. Thank you to all our nutrition services teams for all they do for our scholars. Ask any teacher and they'll tell you that the month of May is a busy time in their classrooms. Fortunately, it's also a good time to show the teachers in your life how much their work is appreciated, with National Teacher Day taking place on May 2nd and Teacher Appreciation Work running May 8th through 12th. To commemorate the recognition days, we shared through our newsletters, website, and social media about a few exceptional teachers at Osseo Area Schools who have dedicated their professional lives to the betterment of our district scholars. Thank you, teachers, for all you do for the scholars. And finally, congratulations to Becky Hespin, Special Ed Education Support Professional, on full-time release from Education Minnesota, Osseo ESP President, for being named the 2023 ESP of the Year. Hespin has worked in Osseo Area Schools for 32 years and will be retiring this year. Hespin has served as a believer, encourager, instructor, and supporter for scholars and staff across the district, and we thank you, Becky.
Board members, just a couple additional items before we wrap up the superintendent's report. So just wanted to acknowledge that the Minnesota House and Senate approved last night the major budget bills and a few other high-profile bills on Monday night and adjourned the legislative session about 10 o'clock.
9:52.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that Valerie Dawson will be coming to our work session on June 6th, about 2 weeks from now, to really give us an overview of the legislative session, including the E12 final budget agreement, including key school finance provisions, and there's many, and also some labor provisions that were passed in the legislative session. So our team and our district and really districts across the state are unpacking what was passed in the legislative session and are beginning to develop a plan to implement those changes. So we'll have much more on that for you at the work session where you can really dive into it. Lastly, just a few reminders this evening. There will be no school on Memorial Day, May 29th. I always like to remind people of that. Graduation is also upon us, so all the dates are in early June, and you'll see the dates and times for each of our schools listed on this slide. We're really looking forward to celebrating this momentous occasion with our students and families. And that concludes my superintendent report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent McIntyre. Excuse me. Our next agenda item is school board reports. Director Mitchell, do you have an update or report?
Not at this time.
Director Brooks?
I do not have a report.
I did not have committee meetings, however, I want to mention, so the District 279 Foundation had the Investment in Youth Celebration, which was really fun to participate in and to see all of the many achievements across the districts. I'd highly encourage all board members to participate in that in the coming years. And it's already, Reading is Fun 5K is already open for sponsorships as well for the 279 Foundation, so you can go to the 279 Foundation website and check that out. Additionally, as Superintendent McIntyre mentioned in his report, there's a lot of opportunities for school board members to learn about what is in the legislation. So MSBA, AMSD has a number of events because there's so much in those bills. At the MSBA coffee chat this morning, it was kind of the main question at the start of that meeting, and there'll be upcoming webinars on that topic. As you know, with so much in the bill, there were different things that the Minnesota School Board Association and AMSD testified against and testified in favor for, as well as districts across the state. So there's just so much in there, and they're still unpacking what that means, and I look forward to learning more about that when we have our work session.
Thank you. Excuse me. I have one quick report. With the Northwest Suburban Integration School District hired a new executive director. Her name is Heather Like. She comes to us from Minneapolis by way of Rochester. She is an experienced couple decades of diversity and equity and inclusion, and with a high concentration of literacy experience. So I'm pretty excited about her and the direction that she will help us take at Northwest Suburban Integration School District. And Heather.
I will not have a report tonight because DPAC is presenting their final recommendations tonight.
Well, I would normally give the AMSD update, but as Director Simons appropriately pointed out, there's a lot in the E12 bill, and we're really trying to unpack all of that right now. I just wanted to let you all know that I'm super proud that I passed my first bill, which I first brought through the Minnesota School Boards Association Delegate Assembly. I passed a $50,000 grants for gender-neutral restrooms in schools, and it was part of the education finance bill. This will provide a total of $4 million over 4 years for schools who are upgrading their restrooms and locker room facilities so that they can provide more gender-neutral options and more privacy for all students. This legislation is really important because it provides support to schools so that they can comply with the NH versus Anoka-Hennepin Schools court decision, where a student filed a charge of discrimination because he was not allowed to use the locker room that matched his gender identity. Gender identity is the innate sense and deeply held understanding one has of their gender, which may or may not correspond to their sex at birth. Some children have a strong sense of their gender identity as early as 3 years old. This includes children who identify as gender expansive, non-binary, and transgender. When children like mine are not allowed to live their daily lives, which includes using the locker room and restroom that matches their gender identity, they suffer socially, emotionally, and academically. The experience of rejection, isolation, loneliness, and bullying leads to over half of transgender and non-binary students seriously considering suicide. That's why this funding for gender-neutral single-user restroom and locker room facilities in public schools is so important, because these investments allow for more privacy and choice for everyone. Because the best way to not single out a legally protected class is to give everyone the same access. And that's it.
Congratulations on your bill.
Thank you.
We have a presentation from the DPAC, the District Planning Advisory Council recommendations, and information will be shared by Robin Gonzalez, Director of Learning and Achievement, and our fantastic DPAC members.
Thank you. Good evening, school board members, Superintendent McIntyre, cabinet members, and members of the viewing audience. My name is Robin Gonzalez, and I'm the Director of Learning and Achievement for Osseo Area Schools. Yes. I am delighted to be here tonight with members of the DPAC committee to share with you their work and recommendations for the 2023-24 school year. DPAC is an acronym for the District Planning Advisory Council. And this committee is made up of very dedicated members that meet on a regular basis and then conclude the school year with recommendations to the school board and superintendent for consideration. I've had the privilege of being able to work with this group in my capacity as Director of Learning and Achievement. Throughout this time, I've had the opportunity to work closely with Melody, who is a parent, community member, and chair of the District Planning Advisory Council. And it is my sincere pleasure to introduce you to her at this time to begin the presentation this evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to change the mic a little bit. Thank you, Robin. As Robin said, I'm Melody Brinkley, and I am a proud parent of an Osseo High School student. It's such an honor to present to our school board officials and our superintendent, McIntyre. It's been so fun to serve as chair of DPAC for the 22-23 school year. This is such an incredibly conscientious committee, and I just have gained so much from our monthly meetings. It's just been really cool. The Minnesota State Legislature requires each school board to establish an advisory committee to participate in planning and improving instruction and curriculum for the district. Osseo Area Schools has established DPAC to fulfill this requirement. DPAC membership is primarily comprised of interested district staff, parents, and guardians of district students. Community members and students are welcome to join as well. Each member serves a 1 school year term. The purpose of DPAC is to provide an opportunity for committee members to work collaboratively to research and evaluate current district programs, policies, and initiatives to make recommendations where opportunities for improvement are presented. Concerns are discussed and district leadership are interviewed over the course of the school year to inform decisive recommendations. DPAC meets both as a full council and in subcommittees once or twice a month to discuss topics of focus, gather information, formulate recommendations and strategies for improvement. Finally, we produce the annual report for presentation to this school board. Our current DPAC consists of 3 subcommittees: the Program and Assessment and Review Subcommittee, the Student Services Subcommittee, and the Data Assessment Subcommittee. Each subcommittee identified areas of interest and gathered information to support specific recommendations for the school board. We have prepared a report of our findings and recommendations. Tonight, representatives from each subcommittee will share their high priority recommendations with you. But before hearing from each of our representatives about our high priority recommendations, I'm going to kick it back to Robin for an update on our previous recommendations.
So last year, DPAC recommended 8 recommendations to the school board, and today I'm just going to touch base on the progress that's been made towards these recommendations to this point. The first recommendation was to establish a data collection system to effectively capture the overall needs of staff in order to better retain and recruit staff members. The staff stakeholder survey is currently being revised to ensure alignment to the strategic plan and to provide more opportunities for teachers to express their needs. Alongside of that is the new teacher mentor programs that conduct a survey, and they conducted a survey every year, but last spring they conducted their survey, and they had a lot of really good feedback from that survey. And so they've used that information over the school year to better meet the needs of the teachers that are in their first year. Along with that, the new teacher workshop planning committee continues to collect and utilize survey results completed by teachers attending the new teacher workshop so that we can do a better job of onboarding teachers and ensure that they have what they need to start the school year successfully. Recommendation number 2 was to create online courses at the high school level that are accessible to scholars across the district, regardless of where they attend schools. Really exciting news on that part is 279 Excel will start in the fall of 2023 as a supplemental online school. So students from the comprehensive high schools can take up to 50% of their schedule in supplemental online. These courses replace a course in the regular schedule. For year 1, students can enroll in geometry, algebra 2, biology, chemistry, life fitness, health, American government, U.S. history, world history, English 11, and English or English 12. And for the first year, students register through their high school counselors, and as we move forward, we'll continue to perfect that registration opportunity for students. And in 2023-24 school year, only students within our system can register for these classes, but the following year, these courses will be open for students from any district. Recommendation 3 was to increase the support to district mentorship programming and align the current mentorship tracks for a more cohesive mentorship program. So last year, HR, Student Services, and Learning Achievement partnered to create a licensed staff mentor programs brochure that was shared with new teachers on their first day of new teacher workshop this year. Representatives from each of the mentoring group were also present to speak to new teachers that day and talk about how they can support them throughout the year. Recommendation number 4 was to expand the current career and technology education, or CTE, offerings. So 7 new CTE strands have been added to the 2 that were already presented, or that were already present in our system. And courses are being designed to match each of the CTE strands, and they're continuing to work to make sure that all the courses are aligned with the strands. For the upcoming school year, 2 newly created courses were offered to students to enroll in. The next recommendation, recommendation number 5, was to increase school counseling allocations at each level with a minimum of 1 counselor at each elementary site and 1 counselor for every 400 students at the secondary level, with the purpose of impacting student mental health and school climate. For the 2023-24 school year, we have been able to maintain but not increase the current school counseling allocation. Recommendation number 6 is to increase communication, awareness, and academic counseling around CTE programs and pathways for students prior to registering. So currently, Godfrey Ed Ferrari, our college and career coordinator, is working in collaboration with CTE teachers to create a catalog of the CTE strands, pathways, courses, and certifications that are available in Osseo area schools. They're going to call this catalog the CTE Career Guide. These catalogs will be used internally to give students information about options before they register for courses, and it will also be used externally to promote our programs. Recommendation number 7 from last year was a comprehensive review of early childhood offering to determine if socioeconomic factors are playing a role and if programs are effective in preparing our students for kindergarten and to read well by grade 3. This winter, a team of educators began meeting to discuss and review the instructional programming for our earliest learners in the following programs: early childhood family education, early childhood special education, preschool for 3s, pre-kindergarten for 4s and 5s, half-day and everyday pre-kindergarten, and 4-Star Express pre-K plus care. The team will be learning more about each program by observing classrooms, reviewing current curricular tools and resources, and discussing the philosophy and purpose of each program. The team is committed to identifying strengths in the program and areas for improvement, along with the alignment of the program models to make sure that what we're providing students across our system is matched and people have access to it in a variety of ways. A brochure for families and the community was created to highlight all early childhood programming available in our system, and that is being distributed now. During the 2021-22 school year, Wilder Research was hired to conduct a phase 1 of early education childhood-based needs assessment. And this report provides information on the characteristics and families of children in Osseo area schools boundary. Phase 2 was launched this May, and it consists of distributing surveys to all parents included in the census. And next year, Wilder Research will conduct focus groups with families and community stakeholders. They will then use the triangulation of these results to inform programming decisions. And our last recommendation, recommendation 8, was to a comprehensive review of the recruitment and retention strategies and policies in place. and the supporting mechanisms. So as a system, we have continued to increase support to teachers and paraprofessionals. We currently have 3 mentorship programs for licensed staff and a new mentorship program for ESPs. 3 district-level ESPs have been hired to provide professional development and job-embedded support to our ESPs. Our system has created pocket contracts in order to hire and retain employees before the hiring process has begun. And in addition to that, affinity groups for staff are currently taking place, and more affinity groups are being created to help BIPOC staff feel connected and supported. So at this time, I would like to introduce Amanda Sass-Henke, who is a parent representative on DPAC, to share information regarding the first recommendation of the Program Assessment and Review Committee. Amanda.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Amanda Sass-Henke, and I am the parent of an Osseo Middle School student and a Fernbrook Elementary School student. Tonight, I represent the Program and Assessment Review Subcommittee. Our first recommendation comes out of a programming change that was made at the middle level this past year in response to new fine arts requirements at the state level. As a result, many middle schoolers, particularly 7th graders, have decreased access to world language opportunities. This change resulted in tears and disappointment at my home and, to my understanding, in other homes across the district. Our recommendation focuses on the schedule at our middle schools because we see that at the crux of being able to bring back what was lost. And so our first recommendation is return to a 7-period day to provide all middle school students with opportunities in programming and preparation for high school and beyond, and specifically to ensure middle school students have access to world language and courses that assist in career planning. You'll notice that we use the word return, as this was the schedule that our middle schools had before 2002. After a referendum failed in 2001, our middle schools were forced to adopt a 6-period day. Even though a referendum was passed the following year, the programming was not restored to the middle level. As you can see in the report, our subcommittee gave a lot of thought to the benefits of the schedule. Not only would it allow students to meet the state requirements in fine arts, but it would allow for more student choice along with consistency in program offerings and schedules across the middle school in schools in our district. This recommendation aligns with Strategic Direction B, build and nurture a culture of achievement by providing content-rich, rigorous, and individualized pathways. And now I'll introduce Angel Becker to speak about our second recommendation.
Thanks, Amanda. Good evening. My name is Angel Becker, and I am a parent of a Maple Grove Middle School student as well as a Basswood Elementary student. Tonight, I too represent the Programming and Assessment Review Subcommittee. Like our previous recommendation, our second recommendation is also tied to Strategic Direction B. Expanding enrichment options for middle school students is something that would be made possible with the return to the 7-period day. Our recommendation specifically is to expand enrichment options in the area of English language arts, science, and performing arts. In District 279, we have a wide variety of scholars, and our mission is to prepare each of them for success. Yet at the middle school level, we only offer accelerated programming options in this area of math. By providing a more robust menu of options, we will better be able to meet the varied needs and interests of our scholars. In addition, we may be able to better retain in our system those who are looking for more rigorous opportunities. To help us achieve these goals, we have identified the following strategic plans for improvement. First, we recommend surveying middle school students to determine specific areas of interest. In addition, we would like to survey the parents to determine specific areas that would meet their students' interests as well as their needs. Once that information is collected and collated, we would offer options available from the desired list to students during the registration times. And I will turn it over to Erica.
Good evening. My name is Erica Foster, and I am representing the Data and Assessment Committee as a mom of 3 Fernbrook Elementary students. The first recommendation from our subcommittee focuses on the need to change the hiring timeline in order to hire new teachers earlier and retain teachers that are designated reduction in force due to staffing or budgeting. This recommendation is connected to Strategic Direction D. We believe making these adjustments will help the school district to retain and recruit high-quality teaching staff because other districts hire sooner than ISD 279, which means we are hiring from a smaller pool when our process opens. Changing the hiring timeline will allow us to develop a more diverse workforce as well as hire top-performing educators that are quickly hired. Oftentimes, the school district needs to reduce the workforce due to decreased enrollment and budget. But if things change from budgeting season to actual start of school, the district is in a pickle to hire staff members. In scenarios like this, we risk losing staff members to another district before they are made aware that there's an opportunity to return. We offer several strategies, including send out job offers earlier, allow teachers that are reduction in force to apply for positions earlier than those outside of the district, pursue teachers outside of our district on an earlier timeline, add additional staff development for new teacher mentors to support new teachers in years 1 through 3 to encourage retention. Create a process to complete exit and stay interviews via a third party in order to obtain valuable feedback. Next up is Marty, my fellow subcommittee member.
Good evening. I am Marty Cohen, he, him, his. I've been a parent in the Osseo school system since 2005. In the past few weeks, I've had the pleasure of attending my child's college graduation. While present, I heard an inspirational presentation of one of the students, her theme, What Now? It resonated with me, and I wanted to share with you as well as present our recommendation with the theme included. Her story, she was a happy-go-lucky high school student who was excited to go to college. During her first year, she became pregnant. This would be her first What Now? With the support of her family and friends, she chose to continue her college life, though it would be challenging. The pandemic came, another what now moment, a child in the background, Zoom meetings, etc. Then the pandemic protocols ended, and her next what now, she had to return to class. For the most part, she was able to tap into family and friends to help her out, except for her senior year, when she had an in-person class on Fridays, and she was ready to call it quits or extend another year. She opted to reach out to her professor, who suggested bringing the child to class, and ultimately she graduated. Of course, now for her next what now? This brings me to our discussions around teacher mentors. A few years back, DPAC identified that we had killed off mentorship programs in our district as part of prior budget cuts. We realized how important it is to have new staff member be able to reach out to one another and get the assistance they need. The mentorship program, which has been brought back to our district, has been a success to a point. For a teacher that is new to our district, they get access to one mentor. Our mentor is busy with first-year probationary staff, and unfortunately does not have the bandwidth to allocate to the rest of the probationary years. Our recommendation is to expand the mentorship program. We recommend hiring an additional teacher mentor to support new teachers. We also recommend implementing a mentoring program that includes grade level and content mentors, mentorship for years 2 and 3 teachers. This recommendation is also aligned to Strategic Direction D. Create a system of operational innovation, excellence, accountability, and sustainability. Our ultimate goal is for teachers to have the support to be successful both from the standpoint of their job satisfaction as well as their effectiveness with students. Currently, there is one mentor for all new teachers. A ratio of 1 to 200 is not sufficient to support new teachers. An additional mentor for teachers in their second and third year will create a support system during the critical years in their new role. Additionally, a mentor for teachers new to a grade level or content area will provide a formalized support network rather than an informal ask your neighbor method. With these recommendations in place, we hope that there is a decrease in the high percentage of teachers who leave teaching within the first 3 years, as well as retain experienced teachers. Which brings this back to where I started. This recommendation, along with the other 2 that our subgroup agreed on, gives me the thought of what now? so we can improve the experience of both teacher and student and have a program in place that is conducive to what our district stands for, to inspire and prepare each and every scholar with the confidence, courage, and competence to achieve their dreams, contribute to community, and engage in a lifetime of learning. Thank you. And with that, I'll return it to Erica.
For our third recommendation, we recommend the assurance that all students have access to high-quality curriculum and a safe environment conducive to learning. This recommendation is in line with strategic direction A and B. We see a learning loss that began before COVID and has continued post-COVID. Data collected from MCA testing data as reported by the Minnesota Department of Education indicates that the Osseo School District experienced low proficiency in certain subject areas. For example, in 21-22, there were 7 schools below 20% proficiency in math and 9 schools below 20% in science. The MDE data also shows that our proficiency rates for those meeting standards in both math and reading has fallen by 7 percentage points since 2018. That equates to over 1,000 students falling below proficiency standards. We propose that the school administration address these issues by providing professional development to promote higher academic expectations and excellence in academics and behavioral outcomes for principals, teachers, ESPs, and other support staff. We also suggest an audit of curriculum models being used and that things that are not effective at improving student achievement or teacher success be removed. Some of the strategies that were suggested in our group to promote academic achievement include providing increased support for probationary teachers, floating curriculum specialists, additional language staffing, English language staffing, additional classroom support, and looping teachers. Evaluate current behavior management, the current behavior management approach and its effect on classrooms, school safety. And with that, I'll hand the mic over to Cynthia.
Thank you, Erica, and good evening. Thank you to our school board members, Superintendent McIntyre, and cabinet members for your time and your service to the families of District 279. My name is Cynthia McQuaid, and I'm representing the Student Services Subcommittee as a parent of a senior at Osseo High. Our first high priority focus is on exploring the addition of a school-based health clinic. This recommendation falls under Strategic Direction A, create safe, welcoming, and inclusive learning environments that foster global curiosity, belonging, innovation, and engagement. The history of school-based health clinics has proven that this approach to creating ease of access to healthcare not only improves the quality of a student's academic performance, but also overall community engagement. A reduction in healthcare costs has benefited the healthcare system, which allows for increased focus on overall wellness, including mental health. We believe by implementing a committee now, we can build relationships, discover best practices for our Minnesota scholars, and seek additional funding to offset the cost of the program. A school-based health clinic is in alignment with the world's best workforce goals by meeting the basic needs of our students. When basic needs are met, the ability to focus on academics increases. By approving the committee to move forward with preparations, we are positioned to have a successful school-based health clinic implementation. We offer several strategies for this recommendation, including beginning with a mobile unit and advancing to a centrally located school-based health clinic that addresses immediate health needs of scholars. By partnering with local community organizations already addressing health concerns of our students, we will present a robust opportunity to improve the health of our students and their families. Access to basic health care and crossing cultural barriers that have, to this point, inhibited overall wellness for our students will impact not only our community, but the communities that each of our students become a part of as they move out of the school system. Recommendation number 2. My guys can't read the small one. We recommend Osseo Area School explore creative and sustainable ways to increase, or at a minimum not decrease, the current staffing parameters for the following groups: school psychologists, school counselors, and school social workers. As we know, the increase since the pandemic for mental health services has skyrocketed. The caseload for current mental health support staff is heavy. They are needing to prioritize higher risk, and under-supported scholars, reducing the time they can spend with all scholars. There is an imperative need to increase support. We believe every scholar deserves the full focus of trained staff to address their mental health needs. In addressing these needs through early intervention, scholars can better focus on academics. We ask that you ensure the support roles are already present are maintained and ideally increased. This recommendation also falls under Strategic Direction A. And with that, I will turn the mic back to Melody.
Well, this concludes our presentation this evening. We thank you for your thoughtful consideration and would like to create a space for any additional questions or comments you may have at this time. Thanks again.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank each of you for your commitment to your children and everybody's children's, that didn't make sense, but you know, all the children's education and our system and all the time that you put into this work and really thinking carefully about where there are gaps that need to be filled and things that need to be reviewed so that we can really build a system that really works well for everybody. So thank you so much again for your commitment and for coming here tonight for your presentation.
I just wanted to say I really appreciate the review of past recommendations and tying that to current recommendations, but also to our strategic plan. That really helps us identify which priorities, all of these priorities that you presented, tie into our strategic plan. But I did have a question. I'm not sure if this came up in all of the committees or not, but were any of these recommendations discussed in regard to upcoming funding in the school district, or like how would we pay for all these things?
No, we did not figure out how we would support the recommendations. Some of them have a small amount of cost and others are much larger in cost.
That might be a great,
So there's one.
Okay, Cynthia said there's an RFP that's,
Yeah, we missed the drop to apply for the RFP on this cycle, but it's a 2-year cycle RFP that specifically addresses for this customer.
Thank you.
so, yeah, it might be a good clarification when we receive committee recommendations, they're the work of the data collection and analysis, and that doesn't include staff review, or staff do participate on it, but so it's now the duty of kind of taking in these recommendations and reviewing them, and like Heather said, the kind of looking back now a year later of the ones that we've made progress on. So I look forward to kind of that next step of assessment and determining if any of them would be recommended from district staff to move forward and into the operational plan. So that's just kind of part of the process for how this works. I do think that the detailed report was very well done. So while tonight's presentation has just the highlights of the recommendations, I really like that in the report it provides the details of what studies were reviewed, a little bit more, far more in-depth information about the analysis that was conducted. So for those watching and kind of looking at these recommendations, that's available online as well.
thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the parents that are involved. I think this is encouraging to see a well-balanced committee. We want parents that are engaged of a variety of schools and ages, so thank you for your efforts and commitment.
Yeah, so I too want to say thank you to all of the parents. I know there are many that aren't here today, but thank you to everyone involved in DPAC. I know how much work it takes to get to just this point. With that said, it is encouraging to know that in some of these discussions you did think about costs and how we could potentially pay for these. But I also, just for the future, don't want to limit the ideas that come out of DPAC based on how we're going to pay for it. At some point, that's for the rest of us to figure out, and so I think that's where we are with this. And then also thank you, Robin, for including progress on past recommendations. I know that was kind of a big one for me previously. Just wanted to know where everything else was. A couple things that stuck out to me: increasing access to rote language. That was a huge pain point in my household, and so it was encouraging to see that there as well. And then the enrichment opportunities in ELA, science and performing arts. Having recently completed registration for high school classes for a 9th grader, that was actually an area of excitement there, that there were some of those opportunities. So to get our scholars more excited at that middle school level is something to look forward to. And I would say that, I know we're looking at surveying current middle schoolers, that many of which will be moving on to high school. Maybe we expand that to include surveying some of our 5th graders as well. I think I did have a couple questions, small questions, just for clarity. So one of the recommendations was based on making sure that scholars have access to high quality curriculum. And it seemed as if high quality was tied specifically to outcomes of achievement. Is that correct to assume?
So, if I can I answer from here?
Yes.
So this is actually a hard, we're uncertain how to phrase that, because we're aware it's available to all classrooms and all schools. The concern that we had was teaching to a higher level and making sure that teachers feel prepared to teach to higher levels instead of teaching down where they feel their students are at, and helping to elevate the learning experience for students, so that it's basically helping children rise to the occasion was more our concern.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I had, also small, and I'm sure we've asked it before as board members as well, but there were multiple recommendations around retention. And I was just wondering, was there any discussion around exit surveys and maybe looking at that year-by-year retention data? And that just comes to mind because I know just in the past week, I know of at least one ESP and one teacher that had left the district already that were from underrepresented communities. So just wondering how we're kind of looking at that data and measuring it.
I know that was part of a recommendation from last year too, and we have been meeting to talk about in our new teacher workshop, and then also in other areas, like how do we get that information that is just in time as people leave. One of the challenges is that people, when they leave, are kind of like, they're done and they are ready to go. So it's really, and also a safe way for people to share that information. So we have been talking about what's an avenue for that. Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you. I enjoyed being on it when I could be on it, and I'm hoping to see a committee for school-based health clinics happen. I think there are some very excited people on that committee, so thank you again for the hours and hours and hours that you put into doing this and writing the presentation and practicing it and all that. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our next agenda item is the consent agenda. Board members, are there anything that you would like to remove for separate consideration? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
So moved.
Moved by Tanya Simons, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather Douglas. Is there any discussion? Again, just heads up to the people in the audience. Often on our consent agendas, there are acceptance of several grants. We wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that we do if it weren't for the hardworking people writing grants and the acceptance of those. All in favor of passing the consent agenda, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Our first action item this evening is the superintendent's recommendation regarding building a better future phase 2. Information will be shared by Superintendent McIntyre, John Morstead, and Kay Villela. Superintendent McIntyre.
Yeah, and I think you just get me tonight. So you've heard a lot from John and Kay. Thank you, Chair Mosquito Jones, and I just want to say thank you, board members, for taking advantage of the gift of time over the last month with many questions, requests for information, asking for additional clarity on a variety of topics. I think we've provided you with nearly 60 or more pages of additional information from last month's board meeting, just to try to really get at the heart of the things you're asking for. So I'll go through the recommendation. You have a lot of it, so we're gonna hit the key pieces here. But I'm gonna start with just from my perspective and that of the cabinet's perspective and others, and I think you have a good sense for this, that we're at a critical moment in the history of our school district when it comes to our facilities. Sort of a crossroads, because your decision coming forward will really set the course for maybe the next 20 years. Because that was the last time we tackled a facilities effort like this. But I wanted to start with just some basics, because there are a lot of questions around this, and it's really important to clarify, and we can't say it enough, to really help our communities understand the difference between levies and bonds. And it's not an easy thing to understand, it's complicated. But essentially, levies are for learning support, so really it pays for staff. Bonds are to help us pay for buildings. So the levies fund the day-to-day learning and the operations in the district, and that was our phase 1 ask last year. And again, most cases that is staffing. So levies can also fund teaching and learning materials, classroom supports, and we had our technology levy as well. And those have a 10-year lifespan. And actually there's new provision in the legislature now that boards can act on that once for another 10 years. So that's something that will be eligible when we hit that point in time again. Bonds fund major renovations or additions to physical school buildings. Those improvements cannot be resourced through our LTFM funds. And those bonds typically have a 20-year life cycle or more. It can go longer than that. So the referendum is the voting process for whether it's a levy or a bond ask, whether we're asking for funds for staff or for facilities. And we held our operating referendum last November, and the recommendation is for the bond referendum for this coming November. So it's really important to clarify for our audience that levies and bonds are independent of one another and must be clearly designated for utilization for those designated purposes. So since last board meeting, you've again received lots of new information, trying to help kind of add context and add a detail to some of the questions that were on your minds before. I won't go through all that. I'm just going to kind of highlight maybe a list of things that you've been provided with. I'm going to take another moment to point out that it's really a culmination of several years of work and input from hundreds of people and many processes and committees. This is the second time that the facilities process has been initiated. In 2018, then Superintendent Bauk established that integrated task force committee to begin studying our facility needs. And then in 2019, the board and the administration started having conversations about education, how that should look in the future, rebranding that to Building a Better Future. And your first approval was adding an addition onto Rice Lake and some other activity improvements. And the team then recommended do additional deep dive study into what are the more additional school building needs that we had to address. So that additional extensive research to date has been provided to you. It includes the involvement of many who participated all the way back to our desired daily experience process with the strategic planning process, enrollment trends and 5-year enrollment projects, and all those reports. You've also received school building research, including updated reports from the various committees and study groups. If you remember, to January, you received it's about a 250-page packet that night in January from the Enrollment and Capacity Management Advisory Committee, Next Generation Learning Space, Furniture, Current Technical Education, Magnet Schools, Specialized Services, and Community Education. Then you received an Oversight Task Force recommendation, which was presented at the April work session, and you discussed at the last board meeting in April as well. That in and of itself is a very extensive amount of work that has been done primarily since 2018, but studying information from further back in time. And the main thing I wanted you all to know is that through that process, all the possibilities have really been looked at and studied and vetted, and the recommendation takes into account all that work. So our team, again, was very happy to help answer any questions that you've had over the last month. we've offered, many times to just try to meet you where you're at, 'cause I know how busy your lives are these days, like all of us, and try to get what you needed. So a few things that we've provided to you since last month's meeting. We tried to provide you with additional information more in a visual format. So we showed you visually all improvements using boundary maps, all improvements using graphs, phase 2 only improvements by each school site. We also provided some research to you on next generation learning spaces, where that was showcasing the fact that our committees emphasize as well that students are more focused and can pay attention longer and have greater educational outcomes with those spaces. Rigorous project-based learning is an effective way to improve outcomes. And then really the critical nature of preparing the students for the world of work with the workforce shortages that we heard from our consultants on when we were doing that CTE study. So really the other thing we provided was additional information on our LTFM and the differences between completion dates with and without referendum. So in other words, if the referendum were to not pass, then how that LTFM schedule would look versus if it did pass, and what projects would be completed and when. In addition, we provided gave you a boundary change simulation in essence, right? A projection of possible future outcome that with that estimate impacts about 18,000 students, nearly 6,000 direct and about 12,000 indirect. We also shared with you interdistrict transfer would no longer be an option if we can't gain additional capacity in space. And then we provided the data to you on those interdistrict transfers. That's about 2,100 students, and nearly 80% of those students are BIPOC families or students of color that take advantage of attending a different school than their home school in the district. We also shared that without the referendum and having a comprehensive boundary change, that would result in our schools being more racially segregated. We'd have a large number of staff who would be reassigned, disrupting learning. Budget cuts could be anticipated, and we believe it would be anticipated from a loss of student enrollment just based on prior history with loss of enrollment due to those kind of changes. We also shared with the board class size impact. So moving forward with the referendum addressing capacity needs will enable us to keep class sizes at or below our targets at each level, and without moving forward, not addressing that capacity need will increase class sizes. Really more to be at or above our targets. And we would have some buildings in parts of our district that could nearly double in size. So in essence, we'll be putting more scholars in the spaces we already have, impacting teaching and learning and scholar outcomes. Just this week, for example, we did have to move community education program out of Fernbrook because we needed to add another section of kindergarten because of the enrollment. We're already at an overcapacity in that school. So it's hard to disrupt that at this point in time, but we had really no choice to do so. So we kind of put together to really try to take all this work over the last few years and really kind of put it in a way that can prioritize the needs. We have this next section called 10 Reasons an Election has been recommended. And I'll just kind of go from 10 to 1, and then I'll turn it back over to Chair Mosqueda Jones. So number 10 is we would continue phase 1 and the strategic plan work of building a better future. And then phase 2 builds on this work already started in phase 1 in the district's new strategic plan, thus providing families with the learning experiences that they desire and deserve. Number 9, the review shows need. So the strategic plan research was first part of phase 2, and after that, 7 study groups looked at the details more extensively. So as you all know, they revealed critical safety and security needs, teaching and learning needs, and building space needs. The oversight task force through that process reviewed all those needs, and along the way, staff, families, and community members were involved. Number 8, and you've been a part of the survey results, those scientific surveys shows that the majority of our community members are supportive of the components of the proposed plan. Additionally, more than 80% said next generation learning spaces and having similar school buildings are important. Almost 90% said that student enrollment will increase over the next 5 years. Number 7 is our aging school buildings. The average age of our school buildings is 47 years old. The newest school, Osseo Area Learning Center, opened in 2000, 23 years ago, and the oldest school, Osseo Senior High School, opened in 1952. Our learning spaces are quickly becoming less relevant for the learning environments that we need to provide our scholars. Number 6 is having right now, students having inconsistent learning experience. So although a lot of effort has been put into providing consistency amongst school buildings, inconsistency continues to be the reality, including how spaces function, the type of learning opportunities available, and the class size levels vary also. Overcrowded schools with more students coming is number 5. And we have shown with you numerous enrollment reports forecasting that ahead, along with the projected growth in the different areas of the district. So schools in growth areas are experiencing higher class sizes, classes on carts, tightening hallways and common areas, lunches standing up or on the floor or on the windowsill. Number 4 is students needing specialized services is increasing. So students, we just basically continue to need specialized learning spaces. It's very critical right now to meet the disability-specific needs in our district around special education services, but also multilingual learning and gifted and talented programs as well. Unique learning needs are increasing, our child counts are increasing in these areas, and yet our buildings were not really designed for that purpose. And I commend our staff for making that work as best as possible. Number 3, science, math, and career technology, tech ed opportunities. So several data points, including our school choice survey, show that many families are highly interested in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math programs, as well as our career and technology education programs within our learning offerings. After extensive research, these offerings have been added, but spaces are now needed to accommodate them. So as the board supported the new CTE strands, we now need the spaces to deliver on those 9 strands. Number 2, maintain and enhance safety and security standards. So the safety and security of our students, staff, and communities are our highest priority of the district. It continues to challenge us. Improvements are needed at every school to maintain and enhance current safety and security standards. And then lastly, my recommendation to you is I'm asking the board to let our voters decide. They will tell us whether they support or not support the plan that we've offered through all this work over the years. Local taxpayers are responsible for funding school buildings and renovations and construction, and that's how we get that done through bond referendums. So even though there's lots of new money in different ways with the state, that doesn't cover new buildings or new construction. And we need to be, we have to really kind of clarify that difference. I think that's a perception as well. And I know we're all aware that it's hard to follow a referendum with another one. There's going to be a cost either way. If we don't act, there's a different kind of cost, or if we act, we can be looking into the future for years to come. So that's back to why I say we're at a crossroads, because again, there's a cost either way. Phase 1 in the strategic plan need resources to continue for us to deliver on that promise. Many of our students are not learning in environments conducive to learning, especially students in specialized areas, special education, multilingual learner classrooms, and gifted and talented spaces. Growth and change is happening whether we wait or not. There's more school choice than ever, as we've talked about many times. We have one of the most, we might be the district with the most school choice options within our district, meaning private or other options. So there's definitely a choice factor that our families, that's the reality our families have, and right here in our district. Just a few additional comments before I wrap up. We've consulted with a number of groups and persons who are supportive of the proposed plan being presented to the voters. And like I said earlier, families through the strategic plan really told us in that desired daily experience that that's what they're looking for. Our research and several community surveys, our unions within the school district, and I do want to just mention, I know board members like this afternoon, you received a letter of support from for the referendum from incoming Superintendent Kim Heil, who's in the audience somewhere over here tonight. Thanks for being with us. I understand you also received a letter of support from Education Minnesota OSSEO President Kelly Wilson, I think is still here too. So both are here, and Kim and Kelly, thank you for your support. So with that, again, I ask that you please take action on the proposed Building a Better Future Phase 2 plan that recommends holding a November 7th, 2023 election. At this time, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Mosqueda Jones. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution relating to determining the necessity of issuing a general obligation bonds and call a special election thereon?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Sarah.
We're doing that a lot.
I'm gonna give it to Sarah, because she hasn't yet. So first, Tanya Simon, second, Sarah Mitchell. At this time, we're gonna start from the left and go this way for one comment or question.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep this brief, but after hours of work sessions, research, committee works, and the findings of the Oversight Task Force, experts analyzing future growth and development, and along with numerous, we've received input from, and emails from parents, principals, from students, our student school board representatives shared their thoughts at our last meeting. I have come to the conclusion to vote yes to bring forward this referendum for a special election this fall. In this role as an elected school board member, we are accountable to be fiscally responsible, to be transparent, and to act with integrity when making decisions that are the best for the overall thriving of our district, and most importantly, our students. So I don't take this decision lightly. It kind of becomes a would you rather decision to simplify things. And I believe that ultimately, if we do not move forward, it's going to cost us more financially, along with some of the negative impact that Corey just touched on. The most positive aspect of this decision is that moving forward with this will allow all of our stakeholders to have a voice and vote. So that is just my final thought on that before we vote.
Thank you, Director Bucks.
Yeah, I will also keep it brief, as Superintendent McIntyre included a lot of what I wanted to mention in his presentation. With any decision that we make, we have to do the best with the information we have at hand. And since the last board meeting, there's been no shortage of questions that have been asked of admin, who have been extremely patient and extremely detailed in every response. And so I do want to thank Superintendent McIntyre and John Morstad for making sure that we had every decision possible to make this decision. At the last meeting, I mentioned several reasons as to why I was not supportive of the bonding referendum. More so just related to a lot of the ongoing concerns that we already have throughout the district that we're already struggling to address, many of which were addressed in the DPAC report, actually. But what it comes down to for me is when you talk about class sizes and the impact that this bonding referendum would have on that, one way or the other, boundary changes, enforcing students to move schools, limiting school choice, taking away spaces dedicated to specialized education. Those are, for me, decisions that are personal for scholars and families. And so for me, just as a board member and moving this forward, I wouldn't want to be the one to make such a personal decision for families. So I will be voting yes today to support support this moving forward so that the voters can decide.
Dr. Simons.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've been in the unique position over the past 5 years to have served on the Building a Better Future Committee from the start, to have served on ECMAC from my first year on the board, having seen our work in discussing boundary changes, having evaluated and recommended the Rice Lake Edition, which we thought would be the right option for that time, and it did buy us more time to get to this point, serving on DPAC and serving on the Finance Committee. So the totality of my time on this board has really been working toward this need, knowing that for the past many years, and even our strategic plan and the different actions that we've supported around curriculum and programming, it requires those decisions that we already made require this additional investment to match that, and it would only be right to ensure that the decisions we're making previous up to this point are consistent with the decisions that we make now with the building needs to meet those needs and those plans that we have for the future of the district, and really for the benefit of our scholars now and in the future. And when we think about this particular many different items that are going to elevate the district up, we don't take siloed single actions.
we take a comprehensive approach, especially when we have the large needs like a new school, like the capacity additions. And we look at, okay, what does that mean for what the district-wide needs are, and ensuring that we're bringing the entire district up to the level, as was mentioned in Superintendent McIntyre's report, to where we need to be now and well-positioned for the future. So to me, I've consistently said that this is exactly what's required, and I'm well convinced that all of the items that are in what has been recommended are necessary because of the vetting process that we undertook, and I think are essential for where we need to go to not only provide the best learning experience for our scholars, but to remain competitive as a district in our geography. So I continue to be supportive of it, and I feel that while we have talked about this, and while we did have to have the levy last year, this has been part of the plan, part of the community discussion, and is necessary at this time. We can't wait one more year to do this because of the time that it takes to do this work and to do the construction. And already with the example of needs that are happening right now and how we're repurposing already. So I continue to be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to start by saying a humongous, tremendous thank you to all of the people who have been part of the process up to this point. As Director Simons previously mentioned, this work actually began with ECMAC when Basswood was overcrowded many years ago, and eventually evolved into what it is now. And over the course of time, as a board, we've directed several committees and strategic work to move forward and to better understand what our options are, what our school needs are, our community needs are. We've contributed no less than $3.8 million to this undertaking, and that is not even approaching the unquantifiable amount of time, energy, resources, expertise, and perspective that we've received from our volunteers and the people who've been a part of all of these committees and bringing these recommendations forward. That includes community members, that includes surveys, that includes student surveys, staff members, administration, ECMAC, DPAC, the Oversight Task Force. I mean, honestly, I don't know if there's anybody in our district that hasn't been somewhat involved in making recommendations towards this process. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you for that. And I want to acknowledge that this Building a Better Future Phase 2 recommendation is extremely robust. We've had some really deep and powerful conversations that I believe have helped us to answer the questions about what we need to do next and how to move forward. To Director Brooks's point, allowing families to have a voice in this, especially because the impacts of us not bringing it forward to voters will be deeply personal. And that resonates with me on a personal level as well. And I'm thankful that we have the opportunity to bring this forward to our public, and that the voters will have the opportunity to tell us what their desired wishes are in probably the most broad capacity we could ask for. So I will be supporting the referendum tonight, and I just wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work.
Well, I do appreciate John Morstead and Superintendent Corey McIntyre for taking the time to meet with me and answer many questions. I got to admit, I still have concerns about the tax burden on our district, the fiscal responsibility of moving forward with this. And I also still feel like while this is one piece of the plan, there's still a lot of work to do in terms of unanswered questions. Like, how does this approach fit with overall achievement and integration for our district? We have some problems that are longstanding that need to be solved through this. We really need to make sure that all of our spaces and all of our enrollment meets those needs of achievement and integration. In addition, I think we heard here tonight from staff, I have deep concerns. I mean, this crisis of crowded buildings and not having the space is one crisis, but we're gonna have a much bigger crisis if we can't fill those spaces. And so I think everybody needs to redouble their efforts and make sure that we're creative in solving our staffing crisis so that we can be in those new schools and in those updated spaces so that each and every child has access to a safe and supportive adult that can help them develop, and so that we can sort of tamp down some of these unintended consequences of the staffing shortage. But at this point, I think it's time for the voters to decide.
Thank you. And I'll just finish it off. I don't want to repeat what any of my colleagues have said, but I do want to provide a personal perspective as a teacher, because that's just what I do. It is hard to explain to people who are not in the classroom the game-changing experience of next generation learning and appropriate spaces for specialized services, such as special ed services and gifted and talented and English language learners. I have been the lucky recipient of being in a building that has been doing next generation learning spaces for 10 years. And I'm glad OSU didn't just jump on the bandwagon and try something and not, that may or may not work, but now I know it works. It works well. It works well for all of our scholars. It allows kids who need to move, right? It allows scholars who need to have differentiated learning a chance to have differentiated learning. If you walk into these next generation classrooms, and if they're doing it right, which we would because we have the amazing technology team and teaching and learning staff that we do, you will see kids working on all different things in all different areas, and be able to reach and unleash their brilliance and challenge them to come up to a higher level than it would be putting a bunch of kids in one room in desks. As a teacher, I can't tell you how much easier it is to differentiate with that kind of a room. So that's my soapbox. I'm getting off of it now. And at this point, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0 to send that to the voters. Our final action item is gifts to the district. Is there a motion to approve gifts to the district totaling $48,805.75? Somebody needed to give us a quarter.
Yes, so moved.
So moved by Heather Douglas, second.
Second.
Second by Thomas Brooks. I picked Sarah last time. Is there a discussion besides thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting at, 8:37 p.m.? 8:33 p.m.
So moved.
So moved, Thomas, second. Tanya Simons. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. This meeting is adjourned. And I'm gonna go back to reading clock school.